So continuing the discussion around Microsoft Azure as a platform, AI workloads as being the current thing that's at the forefront of what we're talking about right now, and then obviously coming here and talking about storage. I'm again here with Aung. Good to see you, my friend.
Great. Long time no talk.
I know. So last time you mentioned something that kind of caught my ear, and you said we'll talk about it this time, and that's specifically lift and shift. Can you elaborate a little bit on why that came to mind for you with the last episode and how it relates to AI workloads?
Yeah, good question, and then good connection point. Well, if you think about AI workload, you really need to have, in order to train a model or in order to do fine tuning, you need data, right? Lots of data to get a good model. And that's a lot of data is still on-prem. So
True.
we need to lift and shift, right? And then more efficiently than ever, right? So last episode, we talked about, we are increasing the scale limit to support AI workloads, right? We have a lot of performance improvement, and that also benefits not just AI workloads, right? We could lift and shift those applications which are currently running on-prem more. So that's the connection point. I believe that right now, with the investment that we have done for AI workloads, we could do lift and shift more, and it benefits the whole entire lift and shift motion. And then that's a point. That's a point that I was making.
Okay. Now, what specific types of data and targets, if you will, are you talking about from the on-premises world that people are going to be moving in? Because obviously, with AI workloads and lots of data, I originally was thinking that's all this data that's been generated up in the cloud in the first place, but then lift and shift brings in this interesting conundrum. What types of data are we talking about as far as this lift and shift is concerned?
Yeah, in fact, that's another great point. I should clarify that there's a newly generated data, which is in cloud, as well as you need to merge it with the data that's coming in from on-prem as well, right? Because if you do fine-tuning, domain specific, those historical contexts are still on-prem, so you got to bring it. So it's a merging of two, right? And lift and shift, as you know, we've been focusing on, from storage perspective, SAN appliance migration and NAS appliance migration.
Okay.
That's, that we've been doing it for last couple of years, or 5 to 10 years. We've been basically targeting SAN appliance, decommissioning of SAN appliance, moving it to Azure Block Storage, and NAS is to object storage and files. So that's what we've been doing all along. But right now we are, in fact, ramping up our effort, especially to support AI, and also making sure our customers can also lift and shift remaining application and data, which is currently on-prem.
Now, you're saying that we're ramping up the capabilities and different offerings that we happen to have. Can you go the next layer deep? Because when I think of SAN and when I think of NetApp files and others and things like that, there's very specific workloads that are inside of there. Which ones come to mind for you when we're dealing with doing this kind of lift and shift?
Yeah, that's a very appropriate and pertinent question. We just ended the fiscal year, FY25, and then gearing towards FY26. So we just brainstorm and see that we will continue to do SAN and NAS migration. What are the things that we would focus? And then there are a couple of focus areas that we're doing right now with Azure VMware Service. You are thankfully, you're very familiar with that.
Yep.
And with that, we have a motion, overall Azure motion to move migrating data to migrating application to AVS. And along with that, we are, with the AVS migration, we have two external storage that customer can choose from. One is Elastic SAN, and then one is NetApp Files for AVS migration, which you give customer a choice. And that's one of the focus migration for storage, right? And the second one is Windows Server migration, right? I mean, that's what we have been doing for 10 years plus. That's something that we do really well with Azure Files and Azure File Sync.
Right.
But we also improve a lot of our capability as Azure Files. which is with increasing the scale limit, new pricing model, friendlier to the NAS, and all of that. So I think that we are going to be focusing on that front, right? And the third one is about, database migration. We talk about like block storage, and our improvement in block storage allow more latency sensitive application like PostgreSQL to move to cloud. And we have a dedicated motion. In fact, one of my colleagues, Chi Ki from AKS team, wrote an awesome blog post about like how we could, customer can run using AKS and our container native storage model to like lift and shift PostgreSQL on that. So those are three key things that we have in mind, right? Of course, we're going to try to do, we'll continue to do overall lift and shift scheme of like NAS and SAN, but those are three focus area that we're going to like march on.
Right. Now, I would love to dive in a little bit deeper into the AKS side of things, going in with the cloud native spin. But I think that we're going to have to say that for the next episode. But can you give us a little bit of a teaser? Where do you think storage comes into play with regards to cloud native workloads? Because obviously customers are transitioning from monolithic VM style workloads into more of a containerized Kubernetes style workload running on top of Azure. How does storage fit into that for cloud native?
Like you said, that requires a dedicated episode, but I'll just give you a teaser. In fact, we believe that, for cloud native workload, we need a dedicated storage model for customers to evolve, decoupling from monolithic to microservices application running on AKS. And we have built Azure Container Native Storage offer, which is basically optimized and tailored for container workloads, stateful container workload. And let's talk about that in the next episode. That's basically, I will just break it down, how we make it simpler for those like customer running stateful workload in AKS to like leverage that differentiated capability.
Got it. Okay, I'm going to hold you to it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Thank you.